Hello, my name's Leonora and I'm a stage manager.
Hi, I'm Poppy and I'm a stage manager. I would say it's definitely the eyes and the ears for the show caller.
Yes.
They communicate a lot with the backstage team and the speakers or the artists. So it's getting the information that's more up to date to this show caller if any changes have happened.
Yeah, for me, I agree. Stage manager basically runs rehearsals, but then obviously takes that through to the live event. They're there for safety, primarily, I would say, but also for the performers, team members, and the crew. They need to be well prepared.
Yes, always.
Knowing the area that they're working in, I think, like what could be a hazard potentially, because on some events we have lots of moving objects. They need to know their show.
Yeah.
They need to understand the brief. Communication is top, as you said, most important thing. You're always learning on each event, so
yeah, I think every event I've always learned something new. Had to adapt to something else, find different solutions for each job.
Exactly.
So I always find it's a learning curve.
And team, I think as a stage manager you need to be aware of your team, very supportive. It's not a one-man show, even though sometimes you need to make decisions, but you always need to check first before you make that decision, I would say.
So I had a career back in the West End as a audio sound operator, and to be honest with you, I wasn't the most technical person, and so although I loved mixing and I loved running the radios backstage, anything technical it wasn't really for me. So when I left the UK, I went to New Zealand for 6 months, and then I came to Dubai. I really had to think about what I wanted to do, because prior to leaving the UK, I had my own dog business. I was a PT, and I didn't want to do either of those, just because it's a different way to look after dogs. So I really thought about what I wanted to do, and I knew stage managing was always something that was I always wanted to get into it when I worked in the West End. So I thought to myself, how am I going to do this? So I thought I'd just start at the bottom. That's how I got into the West End. I started crewing, managed to get my foot in the door, and then just prove to people what I'm capable of. So that's what I did. So I found a place called The Source, which is a book that has pretty much all the companies in. And I did manage to find a company with a guy who I just basically phoned his mobile telephone number and just spewed everything that I wanted to do as quickly as I could before he could put the phone down on me. But he didn't, and he told me to, set up a meeting with his office manager, and then he basically introduced me to everyone in events. He took me to jobs. He mentored me, and honestly, probably the best person I could have asked to teach me to stage manage.
Perfect, it was meant to be. Yeah. I have a little different story. From 2008, I came to Dubai, and I was working full-time for an event management company, so you usually wear different hats. My first hat was to do styling and wardrobe, and then whilst I was at events, I was quite curious to see how everything worked behind the stage, so stage management. So I shadowed a few very important stage managers and picked up their some of their hints and expert advice, and yeah, I started as a little junior stage manager, and then grew and grew to love stage management even more, and yeah, I'd say I'm still learning.
No, I personally, I've always found that I've learned better on the job,
Exactly.
rather than studying a book, because you need that live experience,
Definitely.
and you can't get that from a book. There's only so much you can get from being taught. Although there is that whole, what's the word? Imposter syndrome, where you feel that you might not know everything, but actually you know it just as much.
I agree. I think your experience and the big lessons you learn on an event,
Yeah.
you can be taught sort of, you know, the main point structure, the elements that you need to cover, but there's nothing like working and getting experience, for sure.
Yeah.
And each event is different, so don't think you ever know enough.
No. You've always learned.
Yeah.
There's so many different styles.
Gosh.
You've got everything from concerts, conferences,
Festivals,
summits, fashion shows, weddings,
family fun days where there's a stage, where there are performers, where there are moving elements. I think you need a stage manager.
got dinners.
Yeah, lots, all diverse and all have different, different things to do. But yeah, your responsibilities.
Yeah, different requirements, different kind of stage managing skills or styles, should I say. And it's working with like different kind of people as well.
Exactly, yeah. Different profiles, sort of,
Yeah.
from a performer maybe that doesn't even have much experience to your sort of top high profile performers. So you need to understand, you need to get that bit of psychology going and understand how to treat everyone, how to
Yeah, I think it's the best way to get what you need them to do, and you have to accommodate. You also have to be very adaptable about the way you speak to people, depending on who you're speaking to, and you know, learn their language.
That's exactly right, yeah. Yeah, I think they do.
Like concerts is mainly like kind of big, you know, it's horse risers, is quite technical, and it's being as quick as you can to really help with for the tech team really, because the longer we take to change over the set, the less time they have to set up all their equipment.
Right, which is what they want to do.
Yeah. So you know, I've changed stages in like 3-4 minutes.
And I think you probably need quite a strong character to do that as well.
Yeah, you there's no.
Yeah.
What's the word?
Pussyfooting around. Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, if you have events where you have a mass, you know, there's mass choreography and huge numbers, then you need a different skill set, you know, sort of more military to get order because of, you know, the big numbers.
Yeah.
As opposed to then having your headline talent where it's one-on-one and it's a bit more knowing where your boundaries are to be able to approach them because of their, you know, celebrity status.
Yeah.
So I think you need to change according to who you're stage managing.
Yeah. I would say that obviously a solution finder, because for every job it's never black and white. You always have to adapt, and you might even have to adapt mid-show, so you can't be really rigid in your way of thinking.
Yeah, that's true.
You have to be adaptable.
Yeah. I think you should support your team around you, which is, you know, from the tech crew, performers, like I'm saying, you know, your directors, the general support and communication is really, really important. Apart from knowing obviously your work and your tools and all the different elements and being prepared. I don't think you can ever be prepared enough really understand and try and be always one step ahead of things that will happen, because then I think you're ready if something does happen.
Yeah.
You've got it
gotta find make sure you've thought of every eventuality that could happen.
Yeah, without panicking or without stressing people, but sort of being aware, I think, is a good and just keep always the communication so fluid, and don't be scared to ask something. You're not there to strut around and be cool. You're there to to communicate as well.
Yeah, we both do, actually.
Yeah, we both do
We
different
both
things.
wear different hats.
Artist liaisons, for example, we both do that, which crosses over into stage management. It
does, yeah, because you know what the artist liaison does. Because you know, I think the good thing is that when we do artist liaison, we know exactly what the stage manager is expecting.
Exactly, yeah.
And so you preempt that.
And you sort of hand over and you help them. Yeah. That's true.
I think that really works.
Sort of back of house management as well. So preparing, green rooms and setups and everything for the artist liaisons and the stage management. So it's another step in that, in those different roles.
Some production stuff as well.
Of course, setups
setup, builds.
I've
I've
done
also
that together, haven't we?
Yeah.
On different events.
Yeah.
I like to do wardrobe as well, wardrobe solutions. I've done that, which I enjoy for guest management or for small theatre shows here in Dubai, sourcing props and getting the creative juices rolling.
Yeah.
I like that as well.
I had a few actually.
It's difficult to choose one.
Really difficult to choose one, but I'd probably say I really enjoy doing IDEX.
I can imagine
because it's a huge military show. It's something that is nothing like any of my other jobs. We have tanks, we have helicopters, jet planes, ships, pyros.
It's like a mini film, isn't it? I've worked on that once, but it's like being in a film set.
It's so fast. Usually I always get put with the girls.
Right.
And because they're the female military, they always do the really fun stuff. Like abseiling and zip lining.
I bet you'd like to do that as well, probably.
Well, I did, because I used to have to set up their ropes, and of course I had to test them before they arrived.
Of course.
So I found it really interesting because it was something completely different to what I'm used to doing.
Yeah. It's so difficult because doing different events, you get a sort of a choice of different things. I really, really enjoyed the Abu Dhabi Special Olympics. That was really inspiring, just to be, in an event, such a large event, such an important event, and just, to be inspired by these performers, with their different
their abilities.
Yeah, that was inspiring. I really enjoyed that.
I can't say it was that exciting. I think it was more challenging.
Okay.
We'd gone to Turkmenistan for a ceremony, large ceremony, and it definitely brought its challenges working there.
I've travelled to Italy a couple of times. Once was on Expo, the last Expo in Milan for the UAE Pavilion, and that was it was quite funny because although I speak Italian, I was with my friends from Dubai with a lot of Emiratis, so there was sort of a mix of all these different cultures. And I wasn't sure where I was at that stage, but I really enjoyed that live event, being in another country. It was fun, it was exciting. I can't say the most, but there've been
a few events where it's hasn't been coordinated very well, so it's been a challenge because when you turn up on site and you've got very early call time, you've already looked at the schedule, and there's no breaks, none. And as a stage manager, when you're rehearsing back to back to back to back with, you know, the amount of entertainment that's being put on, and you can't see any breaks in the day, I think that's challenging. And then to realise when you arrive in the morning, like at 8 a.m, that the stage isn't even built.
So you can just see your day
Yeah.
ahead.
But you're thinking, where are we going to slot these people in? Because it was a very tight schedule.
I think it's very challenging, and it's happened more than once when we don't get enough rehearsal time.
Yeah.
And maybe you haven't even run through the whole show
That.
before the actual show, which is that evening, that day, that afternoon. So that can make everybody a little bit anxious.
Yeah.
From performers' point of view, client obviously, stage management, because we haven't covered everything, show callers. So there's that sort of.
There's no tie between the scenes. You know, whether it's a speaker going on or performance, there's no tie. So you know, I did a show once, and we had a few contortionists, and they obviously have to be warm and ready for their show. And the client kept changing the times as to when they were going on, and they were actually in their dressing room. It's a very cold room in the basement, and trying to keep them warm was really bad. It was quite difficult, because they were then getting stressed, because they couldn't keep warming up, and you know, with the risk of injury, is not great for them. So I think that was difficult, trying to keep them informed as to timings.
Keep the morale as well,
Yeah.
because obviously every time they're going to perform, they prepare themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think challenging is the timings, the scheduling, the lack of rehearsals.
I think sometimes people want to do too much in one day. I guess the save
puts
on
pressure on everybody.
puts a lot of pressure on the show team. Plus, a lot of the time, the tech team is in doing that build at the same time, and so by the time they've actually come to rehearsals, they're actually tired. Where it should be a nice, fresh team that have been there at the end of the build and understand how the build's gone in, but not that they're tired already before they start, because that's when people make mistakes.
True.
Yeah, I've had a couple showstops in, like a big show, where the performers are in a situation that their performance is a dangerous performance, and you know, obviously we had to deal with that in front of a live audience, which can be difficult for the whole team. But we would always do rescue training every single week for different scenarios that possibly could happen in the show. We'd actually done that scenario the week before, so it was really good because everyone knew
fresh.
knew their roles of who had to do what and how to stop the show. And you know, we dealt with it. Nobody was actually badly injured, which was great. But it was kind of a real eye opener to what these performers actually do when they do dangerous stunts.
Luckily, I haven't had any disasters or show stops. There've been a few times where people have done things that they shouldn't have, as in, you know, when you haven't given them a go, they've gone ahead, either driving a vehicle or different things, and put other people in danger. But luckily, you know, no disasters. So, but yeah.
So generally, when I first thing I do, or prior to when I get in, we generally ask for run a show, so we have an understanding of what the show's about.
Yes.
That's also really good to get beforehand, and then when on arrival, definitely have a walk around of the stage or the performance area that you're going to be managing to understand the sizing, whether the space, the risers or whatever actually fit around corners to get on and off entrance and exits.
Exactly.
It has happened.
So take a good look at your props or whatever you need, or things that are going to go on and off the stage, your entrances, your exits.
Finding the position for you.
Yeah.
Because that changes every time depending on the backstage area.
True.
Is there enough room for a mic table? If it's a conference, where the speaker's going to be mic'd. What mics do we have? Checking with the audio team, with the show caller, who most of the time we know.
Yeah. Then you look at your schedule for if it's rehearsal day. Make sure that you're prepared.
Yeah.
And you've looked ahead at what will be coming up next, so you can try and get everything to fit as per that schedule, because that is probably one of the things that annoys everybody.
Yeah.
Because it's of a knock-on effect of moving lunch breaks, etc., etc. Then you get people sometimes who can only be there for a few hours to rehearse, so it's important to keep to that.
Trying to stick to times as well, during the rehearsal period, that if people they're not using their rehearsal time wisely, I would say try and encourage them to that they only have X amount of time left
to do
to finish, and because we have to move on, otherwise the schedule is just never ending.
I think if there's any problems you come across, you always communicate with the head of that department or go through the correct channels, not sort of jump in and suggest things. You communicate everything, the right using the right channels, and give any feedback if any feedback's needed.
Yeah.
Well, this is a typical rehearsal day, isn't it?
Not on rehearsal day. If we need to make spike marks for the positions of performers or speakers, or especially if there's a speaker who's coming up who's like a key figure who's not going to come to the rehearsal. That they know exactly from their team exactly where to stand. So if they get told to stand on the a taped X on the floor.
And I think it's important that whatever you do in that day, you've completed it, that you don't leave anything for the day after, because if you need to report to Shenik that there's a broken step, you do it that evening so they have time to do things. Yeah. So again, communication I think is really important in a day's work. And before you leave, that you've done all your tasks. I think
everything's ready. Set for the show.
For the show or the next day rehearsals or whatever it would be.
Show caller.
I think
and audio. Backstage audio are always my friends, because if they are on it, it makes my job a lot easier. So definitely the mic guy. Yeah,
I'd say the tech team, the show caller, the director. I would also say the colleagues around us, because we can be more than one stage manager, assistants.
If people are bringing the artist to you, they're very important.
The whole team. Yeah.
I think together, when you work as a group, as a team, I think that works a lot better.
Gosh, well, there'd be lots. If I need to single out one, I think it would be an event that we did with Sadek Roth, where he was the choreographer, and it was amazing just to see the dancers and the performers really get up to speed and top level with this choreography. Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
That was a good one, actually.
And yours?
I would say it's the Muay Thai opening ceremony, because it had so many elements involved. We had horses, we had dancers, we had aerialists, we had athletes even.
That's true.
And that was, I really liked that, because it's just so diverse, and it's especially when you watch it, it just gives you goosebumps. Those kind of jobs really give me goosebumps when it comes together.
Yes. Yeah.
I love working with animals. I know everyone says don't work with children or animals, but I really enjoy working with animals because they are unpredictable, and you do have to introduce like every single tiny little element that the horse is going to be involved in. So whether it's, we gradually change the lights to the lighting state, we add fabric that might be, the dancers are using. So it's just, I find it really interesting that it's a step-by-step graduate
to get familiar.
So but I love working with horses.
Yeah, it certainly keeps you on your toes.
Yes. I love working with Energie.
Yeah, I find them very supportive, very professional.
Yeah.
So they definitely handpick their team, as in they're aware of your capabilities and strength, which is very good, very important.
And it's kind of like working with your friends.
Yeah,
like
it's a good atmosphere.
It's a really good atmosphere between the entire team. No one's treated any differently. Everyone is made to feel special. They
take team's welfare into consideration as well. So they understand if you've had a long day. They're supportive in many ways, which is really, really important as well. It's never overlooked upon.
What would yours be?
I've got sort of two. One's an imaginary event, which would be like there is an event for world peace in September, and I would just love every child from different countries sort of working on a project together, really inspiring, really emotional. Mass cast. I'd love to be a part of something like that, something really, really important.
That's really nice. Makes mine sound awful. I would actually really like to go on a tour with a band, do like a world tour. That's always been one of my next ambitions to do. Just because I kind of feel like you really are part of the team.
Yeah.
And you do stick together for the duration. I know that probably for some people is not a thing, but I know when I used to go touring with theatre shows, I actually really enjoyed it because, they are all your friends, but you did a lot of things together. It's the whole experience, and you get to travel the world.
Listen, advice. Yeah,
listen, learn, take any information you get and try and put it into action.
I'd say be careful on reacting, because you might not have the experience and you can't always react. I don't think you should react on your own. You should always understand or get advice or ask if that would be correct, not just sort of jump in and do something without being completely sure of that. Follow someone senior, try and understand, ask questions, be prepared. Try and be a step ahead as well. Enjoy it.
I think that's the main thing. It's like you have to enjoy what you do, and it's definitely something I've found that I've really enjoyed, and I love doing it.
Be ready to learn always.
Don't close your mind off to somebody else's opinion, because you might do it one way, but I found that I was doing certain things a certain way, and actually somebody opened my eyes to a different way, and I thought, actually, that's a lot better.
Yeah.
And you just be adaptable.
Mm.
That's my main thing about
I
stage
agree.
managing, is being adaptable.
Mm.
But if you firmly believe in something and it's in your guts, then go with it. Go with your gut.